Us Live. We're talking about what you're talking about.
Get real.
No. Y'all,
this
just
is
stop.
a sham.
It's finally here. Drum roll.
I left my heart in San Francisco.
Welcome to DBL. That was the great Tony Bennett right there, huh?
Yeah. Literally
Fantastic.
reading a text about Tony Bennett as we came on air.
So sad, but let's get to it, guys. Here we go. That was Tony Bennett on the Ed Sullivan Show, singing I Left My Heart in San Francisco. The beloved singer died today at his home in Manhattan. He was 96. Tony's career spanned more than 70 years. It started when Bob Hope discovered him in 1949 in a New York City nightclub. Years later, Bob had him on the show. Let's take a look.
You know, it's been about 16 years since I discovered you singing in a Greenwich Village nightclub. How come this is your first appearance on my television show?
Well, I've been waiting for you to make good.
Over his career, he won 19 Grammys. No
Not a
biggie.
big deal.
No biggie. Many of them were for his famous duets, including his final performance with Lady Gaga. Let's take a look at that.
And I definitely want to shelter with the rest of those girls.
That's why the lady is a tramp.
Sounds like my house on the weekends.
Yep.
During his later years, Tony was diagnosed, unfortunately, with Alzheimer's, something he and his wife Susan spoke about with Anderson Cooper. Tony worked late into his 90s and won his last Grammy just last year, but he never considered any of it work. Let's watch.
I have a passion my whole life to sing and paint. And I paint every day, and I study music every day. I've never worked a day in my life. I love it.
Al, speaking of painting, man, do you think when this life starts, whatever you believe in, if you could paint a better picture than Tony Bennett's life? His music will go on in eternity, work until you're 96, but not really working. What a life.
You know what's interesting? When you said that, I remember when you said that he won 19 Grammys. I'm sure, not that he didn't care, but just like I'm sure he was just like, oh, cool. Because his passion was the singing. A trophy, #1 hit, great. Nice houses, cool. When you're addicted to something and you have that gift to let it out and let the world hear it, look at how it resonated. You, as we were playing that set, you said that you had a relative where that's just on repeat.
My father-in-law listens to it. Specifically, that's how they learned about Gaga, was through Tony Bennett, which a lot of that generation did.
That's cool.
Because if you didn't know, it sounds so easy, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Fly me, duh. It is so hard, and what he does is his phrasing is so perfect as a jazz singer. He said when he met or heard Amy Winehouse, she was apparently one of the best phrasers he's ever met. Then Lady Gaga, and that started the duets with how this generation now knows Tony Bennett. But every generation knows him, from the American Songbook to this generation, and what you hear is an ease of phrasing, and which is incredibly difficult to do. Like the Sinatras are at the top, and they call him the best. So there will never be someone like Tony Bennett. Amy Winehouse fell on stage when she won her Grammy, not for winning the Grammy, but because Tony Bennett said her name out loud. That was how
I just
big of a
pictured
deal.
Jeff cooking to this.
For sure. The barbecue's on. I got the speaker inside, outside. Throw a little live Sinatra on, a little live Tony Bennett at the Sands back in the day. Those were the days.
That was the day.
For me, I understand. It wasn't great for me. I hear that. For me, it would be great to transform yourself back into those Rat Pack Vegas days. That's me, buddy. I'd like it. I'd like it. All right. God bless you, buddy. All right, so let's move on here. Jamie Foxx shared a photo on Instagram from Las Vegas saying he was, quote, thankful for my BetMGM family, then wrote, we got big things coming soon. The post comes after Jamie was spotted by TMZ on a boat waving at fans and playing at Topgolf just outside Chicago. And his new movie, They Cloned Tyrone, I love that name, dropped on Netflix today. But Jamie still hasn't talked publicly about being hospitalized back in April. Do we want to speculate, Erica, on what's happening with Jamie? Why isn't he reaching out? He's getting more attention by not talking than talking.
Yeah, I've been on team no speculation for quite some time, because honestly, I think I might have thought about it a little differently pre-pandemic, but there was so much there was so much loss and ailment over those 2 years that I learned not to, like, no news was good news, not to pry unless there was something that was brought to me. So I think me personally, I just kind of attack those situations differently. If there's something to be known by the public, then he and his family will let us know that when they're ready to do that.
Well, does anyone want to jump on the speculation bus?
Speculate.
Yeah.
I will as well.
Okay.
I mean, having known several people that have had strokes, I don't take any shame in having that and having your motor. It's your brain. So, you know, your brain is recovering, your brain controls hemispheres of your body. So if there has been some brain damage, there might be some physical damage as well. And also some motor skills in terms of the way that you talk.
Yeah, vocalizing.
As somebody who has made their career being a sex symbol, and he is.
I thought you were saying
I thought you were talking about you too. I swear. I was like, Elle's always out.
I'm so sorry.
I swear, I was like, I know where he's going.
Even if you thought that's what I was saying, I need the raucous laughter.
That was good.
And also just a masculine tough guy.
Absolutely.
In movies, you might not want that. No different than Sylvester Stallone or Arnold Schwarzenegger or anybody like that would maybe want their public to see them in a different light if they plan to come back and be that same tough guy. This might just be a branding issue.
Yeah, I think it's a branding issue. And again,
and privacy.
And also, we haven't heard him speak. Again, I think I'm speculating here. Something to do with his speech, because otherwise we would have heard him. But privacy always to everyone, and we just wish him the best. He's the best. No one dislikes Jamie Foxx.
No.
He's the best. No one.
He's definitely maybe the
Foxx.
most talented person in Hollywood.
He's insane. The impressions, this music, the comedy,
yeah, really.
the acting.
I give him that much credit.
Absolutely.
A lot of people might not, but I definitely do.
He's got it on the charts.
Yeah.
He can prove it.
Definitely.
It needs to be said.
You know who else is incredible? Fleetwood Mac and Al.
Yeah.
And Al. He's very handsome.
It's very sexy.
He's a
sex symbol.
For the 2000s, he's a sex symbol. All right, so could Fleetwood Mac be hitting the road again? My wife is going to be very excited if this is true. There are reports that Lindsey Buckingham could be returning for one last farewell tour. Lindsey was fired a few years ago, if you remember, and last performed with the group back in 2019. We need to get the band back together. The band lost singer Christine McVie, who died last year, if you remember. Then her ex, John McVie, retired. But that got us thinking about some other older bands still selling out stadiums. Kiss is currently on their farewell tour. They've been around since 1973, which doesn't seem that long ago, but it's a long time ago. Because I'm old. The Eagles are also on their long goodbye tour, which is expected to run into 2025.
Saw it, loved it.
Really?
Loved it.
You saw it like 3 years ago, right?
Yeah, it's a long farewell tour, but Deacon Fry, Glenn Fry's son, stood in for him, and it was with Don Henley. It was unbelievable. Timothy B. White.
Yeah, he passed away back in 2016.
It was amazing. Yeah. It was really lovely.
And last year, the Rolling Stones made $120 million on their tour. That doesn't seem like a lot to me, but haven't released any upcoming tour dates. For the Rolling Stones to go on tour, Barbie's going to make $120 million this weekend. You know, like the road to go back and forth all over.
Right.
You think that's like gross? They're giving us the tax gross income?
If that's take home, that's great. But I think you got to rent the stadium, right?
What? I don't know.
I don't want to get hung up on that.
It's net versus gross. I just think 120 million is a lot of money.
For the Stones, though.
Right, but also think about how many dates that is. Like,
it's a lot.
Well, yeah, but is it for 120 million? If you divide up how many dates they're actually
beers
performing?
are $140 each.
No, I know.
Erica that made like 1,000 beers.
I'm saying $120 million is a very successful tour.
I can't believe they're still touring. And they asked Mick Jagger, hey, do you think you'd still want to do this when you're 60 or 70 when he was young? And he goes, yeah, I want to die on stage. Like, I want to do this forever.
And he's still bringing the energy.
Oh, paint it black.
That was pretty good.
That was pretty good.
She went for it. You gotta I mean, if you're gonna do that.
That's like when your kid strikes out in T-ball and you're like, that was a good job.
Yeah, but you're like, I think I heard a foul tip in there. You did.
That was a good dad.
But that was a good It was a different kind of out.
Fantastic job, Tori.
Thanks so much.
You look really good today.
You too, buddy.
Coming up on DBL.
It's Friday.
I can't sense the sarcasm at all. Our interview with a lawyer who went viral for offering a $5,000 reward to anyone who can find her a hubby. And will rapper Fat Joe need a new name? Erica explains in her segment what Erica's watching next. He looks great, by the way, now.
This show is amazing.
There's a lot going on down here.
I would have been part of the Mile High Club.
Yeah.
So on point. But I'm gonna have a conversation about what's happening now. Okay, so if you didn't know, Tina Turner apparently had her moves stolen by Mick Jagger. So Tina Turner did a lot of, get the whole thing though, Taylor. She did a lot of pedestrian dancing, I call it. A lot of walking, you know what I mean? This is Tina. So Mick Jagger took it and did it more manly. And he was like, and he took Tina Turner's moves. And Tina Turner does a lot of, I'm a private dancer. No. And he took it and did a lot of like, you can't paint it black.
Wait, like more rolling.
Rolling. Like that, you're rolling. Rolling with the rhythm. Woo!
So we have a real Tina impersonator here, so maybe.
I was a Tina impersonator for 5 years.
Okay. Oh my God, you want to teach us?
Yeah, so when you're doing it, if you could.
This is so exciting. I'm out of breath,
when
by the way.
you're doing it, it's supposed to be one of these.
Okay.
I'm going to step over here so I don't
Okay,
fall off.
we're going to watch him.
So she does like one of these.
She walks a lot, yeah.
And one of these, one of these, one of these.
That's good.
One of these, one of these. And Mick Jagger kind of took it and was just like kind of doing one of
like
these.
Like weird. Yeah.
Yeah, there was
he does
that.
like
And then like, it was a lot. I don't have high heels on or hair.
Oh, you're right.
See?
Da-da-da.
There you go. And then you do it.
Oh, da-da-da.
See? Yes. Yes, that's me. Yeah. That was much better.
But
Did my extensions come out? Okay.
But do you see how like gassed you are already? Can you imagine doing that?
So people say Lizzo isn't fit. She has to do that and do
49.
And you're still doing it.
That's what I do appreciate. When you watch those old like Tina Turner concerts from the 60s.
How much energy did they have?
That's a show.
How do you? That's a show.
That's like.
And I saw Taylor Swift, and that Tina Turner. That's a show.
Like when you go, like for as much hate as he got, everybody was like MC Hammer concerts back in the day.
That was a.
Welcome back. What went down during Sheree's girls trip? Is Fat Joe changing his name after his shocking weight loss? And what's up with Lamar Odom living for Golden Girls? In this week's What Erica's Watching. Well, the ladies of Atlanta are getting petty in Portugal in the latest Housewife episode. Well, Sheree attempted to turn a new leaf by inviting the girls on a healing trip overseas. And just when you thought peace was on the way, Sheree snatched back the olive branch she extended to Drew after deading the drama from last season. Well, after brunch, Sheree shaded Drew behind her back for getting sued for shortchanging a chef back in Atlanta. But Drew's receipt didn't include the hair she was allegedly served. And after confronting Sheree, Drew had a meltdown that probably had more to do with the drama brewing in her relationship.
I think when I went out of town last year is when the manager lady was like hitting him up for the massage. And at our video shoot, one of the producers of the video, she was like oiling him down for the bedroom scene. And she had invited him to come audition for that like Vegas show. So now he's in Vegas. Well, I'm just not really trusting him at this point.
So is Shady Sheree the right person to host a healing trip when she takes back peace offerings, including free She by Sheree merch? Well, that's the word on the street. Next, extra weight never got in the way of rapper Fat Joe's swag. However, it was getting in the way of his mental health. After the death of his best friend, Big Pun, who was 700 pounds and only 28 when he died back in the year 2000, Joe became depressed and started drinking and eating until he was 470 pounds. Since then, Joe has lost 200 pounds. The 52-year-old rapper says he feared his weight was impacting time with his family and credits his weight loss to diet and exercise. And even bigger than losing the weight, Joe no longer needs insulin to treat his diabetes. And lastly, Lamar Odom's comeback story includes launching a sober living rehab group, and now he's crediting his grandmother for his latest Assist, affordable senior living communities. Lamar has already partnered with 2 senior care facilities, and his goal is to have 1,000 affordable and luxurious assisted living communities by the end of the year. Now, I say it all the time. I hope y'all believe me. Everyone is deserving of the comeback they are willing to earn. So share with me anything that catches your eye by using the hashtag DBLEricaWatch. We'll be right back.
Several Verify viewers received this email, supposedly from the Internal Revenue Service, that claims they're eligible to claim another round of stimulus money through a tax refund. All they have to do is send in some missing information. Instead, those viewers reached out to us to ask if those emails are legit. So, let's verify. Our sources are the IRS, the Federal Trade Commission, and AARP. In May, the IRS issued a warning about how to spot email or phishing scams, and the emails sent to the Verify viewers have a lot of red flags. First, the emails claim that the IRS is going to provide the status of a 3rd round of economic impact payments. But this is false. Between March 2020 and March 2021, the federal government gave out nearly $1 trillion in stimulus money in 3 separate rounds of payments. Those ended in 2021, and there are no additional stimulus payments coming. Second, these emails claim taxpayers are entitled to a tax refund after they provide the IRS with missing information by clicking the link at the bottom of the email. But that's not how the IRS handles tax refunds. The IRS says if it needs more information from a taxpayer, it will send them a letter through the regular mail. So, no, the IRS is not sending emails to taxpayers about a 3rd round of economic impact payments. If you do get a scam email, the IRS says don't reply or open any attachments. And if you're ever unsure whether something is a scam, you can always call the IRS at 800-829-4933. With your Verify, I'm Brandon Lewis. Planning any trips this year? If you're flying, Verify can help you save. From getting the best deals to reimbursement for lost bags, we answer your questions. Check out our travel stories at verifythis.com.
So the bet/offer is if you introduce me to my husband and I marry him, I will give you $5,000. I don't have to stay married to him for long. I can get divorced in 20 years. It doesn't matter. But if you introduce me to a man that I walk down the aisle and get married to, I will give you $5,000.
Ooh, welcome back to DBL. The dating game has changed a lot over the years. Earlier, we spoke to Eve Tilly Colson, who's offering $5,000 to anyone who can find her a husband. Take a look. Please welcome to the show, Eve Tilly Colson. Yes. Hi.
Hey.
Hey, girl. Hey. Okay, I love this.
Yeah, me too.
I love everything about the idea of just putting yourself out there. Now, what prompted you to first put yourself out there like this, and were you surprised by how much attention it's got?
Sure. So I had always kind of said to all my friends, you know, you guys probably know someone, like, don't you have a friend? Don't you have a brother? And they would consistently tell me yes, but they'd never actually set me up with anybody. So one day after a couple glasses of wine, I was just kind of like, okay, I'll sweeten the pot a little for $5,000. And they laughed, but then that kind of just started me saying that to them every, a few months when we talk about it. And I think that, when you've been married for a while, you forget what it's like to be single. And so I just wanted to give them a little bit of an incentive to maybe, help me out.
I like it.
Yeah, I like it too. So how many dates have you been on, and what's the vetting process been like?
So I would say I go through phases, right? But I would say I try to go on at least, a date every week or two. I think it's important to go out with people who you might not necessarily from the onset think are your type. And it also just helps you become a better dater and become better at listening and, putting yourself out there and feeling more comfortable.
All right, Eve, I got a question for you because I got a buddy in Los Angeles, very well off. He's a lawyer, so I'm trying to partake in that $5,000, by the way.
Okay, love it.
What I want to know is who pays for these dates?
It varies. I would say that if they ask me on a date and they tell me we're going to X restaurant or X bar and getting drinks, and they pick the time, the location, and sometimes they even order. For the most part, they pick up the tab. I would say sometimes it's something more casual, like you notice that you're, having banter with someone. Maybe you see at the dog park regularly and you decide to grab a drink, and it's a little bit romantic. And then I would say, it's normally split.
Oh, okay. I just wondering how that works out.
Okay, this question just for me. How'd you come up with the 5,000? Like, what was, because it could have been 4, could have been 1,000,
Right.
I'm sure. I'm curious.
That's a good question.
I feel like it had to be enough that people took it seriously and enough that it was like significant, right? But also, if you think about it, like people who buy nice like golden retriever pure breed dogs pay about $5,000. So it's not so much that it's like out of the realm of possibility or comprehension. And I didn't want it to be all about the money. So I thought more than $5,000, it would start to become a little bit all about the money.
Okay, I'm getting real serious about this. What are some essential qualities you're looking for in a guy?
You want in too.
I do want in. I'm good at this. I am good at
You're a little
this.
Yenta, that's right.
I love this. Well, you also get an invite to the wedding. So, it's like
Okay,
it's a
now,
tour.
here we go. Now, throw in the firstborn child and I can be the godmother. And we're talking.
So I'm 5'10". I get a lot of hate for this, but I would like him to be 5'10" or taller.
Okay.
Largely because I find that some men are a little bit insecure about my height and they don't necessarily want me to wear heels or,
But child,
and
you
that
do
is
not
behavior.
have to qualify this. This is what you
This
want.
is your thing.
Be very clear.
Okay, I appreciate that. So 5'10" or taller, and then I describe my perfect man or ideal man as like the perfect wedding date. He's gonna check in on me, but can also work the room, can talk about a lot of topics, has good manners, isn't gonna do anything that I would have to be worried about or embarrass me. It could dance with my grandmother, take a shot with my brother, just like kind of that well-rounded, charismatic man. But I played soccer for the majority of my life, so I would love someone who was into sports, into the outdoors, and definitely wants kids and a family.
And what about in terms of like a career?
Yeah, so I'm probably the most open of all my friends on this one. I don't care what he does or how much he makes, as long as he's passionate about it and has ambition.
DBL Nation, don't you think you want in on this too? If you know someone that might be just a great fit for Eve, send a DM. We're slipping the DMs to
Sliding
at
in
Eve.
the DMs.
Oh,
not
sliding?
Slipping in them.
Okay.
They're not banana peels.
Whatever. At EB Tilly on TikTok or Instagram. Also check out Eve's new dating app. It's at thearrow.app. Thank you so much, Eve.
Just to qualify, if you do find a husband through this show, we get a little piece of the action or what?
Yeah, we get a little
Yeah, 5,000 your way.
There we go. But I don't want to come to the wedding, though. I just want the cash.
That's so good. I'll be at the wedding. Mazel tov. Thank you so much, Eve. We'll be right back. That's fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hysterical.
Food prices could be on the rise once again. Let's connect the dots. Since 2020, food prices have been going up thanks to the pandemic, supply chain disruptions, and inflation. Now, just as prices were leveling off, the war in Ukraine could send prices through the roof once again. Ukraine and Russia are two of the biggest grain producers in the world. Ukraine is even called the world's breadbasket. The UN and Turkey brokered deals to allow both Russia and Ukraine to export grain despite Russia's nearly year-and-a-half invasion. Well, now, Russia says it wants out of that deal. That could raise grocery prices in the U.S., but aid organizations warn it could have a devastating effect on millions of food-insecure people around the world. And that is connecting the dots.
July is Disability Pride Month. It's a month that is dedicated to recognizing the contributions of individuals in the disabled community while promoting visibility and challenging discrimination. Some social media posts claim that July was chosen since it was the month that the Americans with Disabilities Act became law back in 1990. So let's verify, is Disability Pride Month held in July to commemorate the passage of the Americans with Disabilities Act? Our sources are the Americans with Disabilities Act of 1990, a congressional resolution recognizing Disability Pride Month, and the American Bar Association. According to the CDC, 1 in 4 U.S. adults has a disability. Activists in the community have long fought for an end to discrimination and increased accessibility for those with disabilities. In July 1990, then-President George H.W. Bush signed the Americans with Disabilities Act into law, marking a significant step forward for disabled people. The landmark civil rights law prohibits discrimination on the basis of disability, setting requirements that ensure that people with disabilities have equal access to employment, state and local government services, and other aspects of everyday life. Later that year, the first Disability Pride Day was held in Boston. In the years that followed, unofficial Disability Pride events and parades were held in cities across the country, and many of those took place in July to mark the significance of the ADA. But our sources say the first official Disability Pride Month celebration was held in July of 2015 in New York City, when then-Mayor Bill de Blasio designated July Disability Pride Month to celebrate the 25th anniversary of the ADA. So, it's true. Disability Pride Month is held in July to commemorate the passage of the Americans with Disabilities Act. And while there is no federal observance, July has been recognized as Disability Pride Month by cities across the country, as well as the White House.
Are you skeptical of headlines and what you see on social media? We are too. The Verify newsletter helps you distinguish between true and false information by answering your questions. It provides fast facts on trending topics, spotlights major stories, and even includes a daily fun fact for all those trivia buffs out there. Get Verify's fast facts delivered every weekday to your email inbox. Go to verifythis.com/email to check it out.
Welcome back to DBL. If you're looking to transform your patio from ordinary to oasis, I was expecting extraordinary there. Here are some tips to elevate your outdoor space, sponsored by Sunsetter. First, add a fire pit that can double as a side table. Beautiful. Next, put up a freestanding privacy panel. Also, add an outdoor water fountain, and don't forget an awning, of course. Sunsetter is America's #1 best-selling awning with affordable custom features without the custom price. Spend more time outside and get the best value with Sunsetter. It's been an industry leader for 30 years. Call 800-513-6851 or visit sunsetter.com for guaranteed pricing on American-made awnings built to last. And before we go, we got to hear Tony.
Yeah, we do.
One last time, because Frank Sinatra, he once called Tony Bennett the best singer in the business. Here's Tony singing one of Frank's great songs, Fly Me to the Moon. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Fly me to the moon. Let me play among the stars. Let me know what spring is like on Jupiter and Mars. In other words, hold my hand. In other words,